Hey everyone, what's going on? Thank you so much for tuning into this video, whether you're brand new here or whether you're returning to the channel. If you are brand new, please hit that red subscribe button down below so I can see you again next time and in a future video, because today we're kind of wrapping up the year of 2021. We've had so many awesome movies, and today I'm going through my own personal list of my own top 10 movies. Now before we start and I dive straight into this list, I do want to point out that this is purely my own personal opinions. This is purely movies that I've enjoyed, I've been surprised by, and I personally want to revisit again. So without further ado, let's get into my top 10 list, and my top 10 movies are my favourites of the year 2021. So at number 10, we've got a movie that surprised the living hell out of me, and that is Paw Patrol the movie, which was directed by Carl Brunke. Now, a little bit of backstory going into this movie is I have two nephews that are under the age of 7 years old, and those two little nephews of mine like Paw Patrol. So my brother, who is their dad, I said to them, well, you know, do you guys fancy going to see Paw Patrol the movie? Because I'd like to do a review for my channel as well, but also kind of just to check out the movie in general. I left the cinema with a big smile on my face, and I actually found myself really pleasantly surprised, and one of the best animated movies, I personally believe, of 2021. So fair props to Paramount and Nickelodeon for putting this movie together. At number 9 is a movie that I only just saw very recently, and is directed by the awesome Steven Spielberg, and that is the new rendition of West Side Story. Now, I love musicals, and I've seen a lot of them in just theatres in general, and I've also seen quite a few movies that are based on musicals, and West Side Story was sincerely awesome. Great performances all around, especially the lead of Ansel Elgort. He definitely provides a great solid role in the movie, but also I felt like Steven Spielberg really captured the use of the old settings of the 1950s to 60s, and I really felt like he played that out sensationally well throughout the entire runtime of this movie. So West Side Story is definitely an awesome musical not to be missed. At number 8 is a director called Ilya Nushala, if I pronounce that correctly, who I've never heard of before, and I don't think I've ever really seen many of their movies apart from Hardcore Henry, I believe, that directed. And this is starring Bob Odenkirk with a supporting character of Christopher Lloyd. So how could you not like that combination to start with? But it's a movie called Nobody. Now, Bob Odenkirk is definitely been typecast into kind of a role previously played as he's played other characters. However, this, I believe, was a stepping stone for him and kind of stepping out of his comfort zone, or kind of what he's been casted as. And as a lead, he was truly fantastic in this movie. It is hard, ground gripping, and you can really root for this guy, especially as a nobody. And I think that title really fitted this perfectly. Nobody is definitely a great action movie to check out if you haven't already. At number 7 is a movie that I think kind of had a lot of anticipation for a lot of us, but I felt like delivered for most part on that anticipation, and that is The Suicide Squad. So don't get confused with the 2016 version. Yeah, we don't talk about that one, but the 2021 version definitely was a lot more out there. You know, it was just gory, it was graphic, it just kind of went balls to the wall in its action and set pieces that it delivered on. I walked out the cinema and I had a huge smile on my face. Even throughout the movie, I was like, whoa, that's awesome. Or, you know, seeing the blood splatter in any shots. I love DC movies, and I like that this also took a bit of a darker tone as well, because Marvel hit its head on with the light comedy, whereas for me, DC, I prefer the much darker tone stuff, and that for me definitely kind of got embodied in this a little bit with the comedy, of course, but James Gunn truly delivered on a fantastic DC superhero experience. Number 6 is kind of like a horror thriller that recently came out into the cinemas only a couple of months ago, if that, and it was kind of a directorial debut in terms of a horror featurette for Edgar Wright. Now, he's mostly known for doing like the Cornetto trilogy, of course. In this one, he kind of dipped his toe into horror with Anya Taylor-Joy and Thomasin McKenzie And yeah, what an awesome movie. I've seen this twice now, and both times I have really enjoyed this movie quite a lot and picked up on details the second time around that I didn't notice the first time around. Anya Taylor-Joy is one of my favourite actresses at this current time. She is just purely brilliant in everything that she does, and you can tell that she was having a lot of fun on this project. So was Thomasin McKenzie. So overall, Last Night in Soho, definitely a really creepy thriller horror movie that is certainly to be checked out and not to be missed. At number 5, as we're narrowing down on this list, is a movie that was sent to me via an early screener and really surprised the hell out of me. I've also interviewed these guys on my channel, and it's directed by Rich Miller, and it's called Repeat, and it also stars Tom England and Joshua Ford. Repeat, what a science fiction blast. This movie, again, surprised the hell out of me, but also was really engaging, captivating, and you couldn't really take your attention off the screen because you needed to focus on what was going on, but in a great way because you wanted to know everything going on. You didn't want to miss a single beat or even a single word in any conversation because it is very pivotal to the plot, but also what also plays out in this movie. And Repeat is an utterly fantastic movie, and Rich Miller and the cast and crew and the behind the scenes crew should all be mega proud because this was a joyride. And if you have not seen Repeat, what are you actually doing? So number 4 is a movie that is one big gut punch right to the stomach, and you are going to feel that after you've checked this out. It has actually got a service on HBO Max after originally just being released as an early screener in select theaters and video on demand, and that movie is called The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain. So this movie is really an eye-opener. It's also a heartbreaking, emotional, tear-jerking kind of movie, and what an absolute directorial amazing product made by David Medell, also producer of Enrico Natali, who I've also interviewed on my channel as well and had that honour and blast doing so as well, and an amazing, outstanding, Oscar-worthy contender performance by Frankie Faison. He won recently a Gotham Award, so it clearly goes to show the guy did a solid performance, otherwise he wouldn't have won an award or even been nominated. This movie deserves more attention, deserves more recognition, and deserves more respect on the man that is Kenneth Chamberlain. Wow, this movie, I'm so glad it got made. I'm so glad that it got this chance by Gravitas Ventures. If you've not seen The Killing of Kenneth Chamberlain, I highly recommend it, but I do recommend also bringing the tissues because you're going to need it. Number 3 is also kind of a rendition of a movie that came out a couple of years ago from Joss Whedon when the studio and Joss Whedon took over this project and made an absolute shambles of it. However, the man himself, Zack Snyder, and fans petitioned for this movie to get made. It finally got made, and it's Zack Snyder's take on the Justice League. And what can I honestly say about this movie? It might be 4 hours long. You don't want it to end because 4 hours flew by. I have only actually seen this movie once, but at the same time, 4 hours was perfectly encapsulated in this runtime. We got amazing backstories. I really felt like the Justice League actually got some justice served to them in this movie being made, and we also got some just great performances and additional extra scenes that we didn't get originally, but also we didn't get that awful coloured drainage and palette that was present in the Joss Whedon version. And truly, Zack Snyder's Justice League was fantastic, and really I wish that the Snyderverse would be restored. So number 2 on my list is a movie that might be a lot of judgment from a lot of people, and just before I kind of tell you what that movie is, let me just explain a little bit about why it is my number 2. So this year I haven't maybe shared with you guys, but my little dog Angel, who was a little chihuahua in my family, did unfortunately pass away in June of this year. Now at the time, in around May I believe, a movie called Cruella premiered in cinemas, and I also believe it was on like Disney Premium Plus Pass, whatever it was. Now we all know about Disney live action remakes, and some of them are great, some of them are just really hit and miss, some of them are terrible, some of them are beat by beat remakes or kind of just shot of the original versions. However, Cruella, for me, I didn't really know any of the backstory about 101 Dalmatians. Of course, I've heard of them, but I didn't really know a lot about them. So at this moment in time as well with Cruella, they also have a dog in this, which yes, I do appreciate that eye is CG. The dog had only one eye, which my little chihuahua Angel also had as well. And the little dog was called Wink. And this movie, Cruella, really kind of swept me off my feet and just really was a blast, and also just a massive mega surprise that I found myself really invested and enjoyed this movie so much, because my little dog hadn't passed away at the time, but she was ill at that time. Seeing Cruella, I actually checked this movie out 3 times in the space of less than 2 weeks. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie, and I plan to get the 4K release of it as well in due time, and I also plan to check it out multiple times. I really enjoyed it, and Emma Stone gives certainly an Oscar-worthy performance. She is fantastic as Cruella de Vil. The movie itself, directed by Craig Gillespie, really just was a blast for me to watch, and I smiled from ear to ear. And I also have very fond memories now of that movie with my little dog as well, who unfortunately did pass away. That movie makes me think of her as well, and it's certainly one that I truly connected with a lot on an emotional and a personal level as well. So Cruella for me is a solid number 2. And finally, we've managed to get to number 1. And you might be thinking, what is number 1? Well, it's a movie that I've saw 3 times in less than 1 week. It's a movie that is constantly playing on my mind as well, that I want to go back and revisit that, and just the experiences that I've had each and every time watching this movie has also been fantastic. It had a massive hype around it and several leaks, and those leaks and that hype certainly paid off big time and didn't let me down, but in fact gave me goosebumps. It made me cry, it made me feel so many mixed emotions and great emotions as well, and that is Spider-Man No Way Home. So Spider-Man is definitely the Marvel movie we needed this year, because Marvel have released several movies this year like Shang-Chi, Black Widow, etc. They've also released a lot of TV shows as well. But I feel like all them shows and all those movies released this year, I personally don't really feel like I want to go back and watch them, but I'd rather watch this 20 times over than any of them, because Spider-Man was truly awesome and a childhood dream of mine as well. Growing up at a very young age of watching the Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans and seeing them appear back in this one, but also Andrew Garfield just stealing the show and getting a bit of redemption for his Spider-Man, along with Tom Holland, who really chew up this role, and he really got to showcase what a fantastic actor he is. Yes, Spider-Man No Way Home is my favourite movie of the year. So my question is for you guys, now that you've heard my top 10 list personally, is what is your favourite top 10 movies of the year? Do you agree with any of the movies that I mentioned? If you do, leave your comments down below, or if you don't, leave your comments also, but please be respectful. Again, these are all my personal choices. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. But until next time guys, thank you for tuning in this video, and next time I'll be seeing you later.